Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." But what if that medicine was tainted and could cause a variety of chronic illnesses? Would you take it then? What if you didn't know it was toxic? That's exactly what happens when we consume GMO foods. Hello, my name is Philip Rapey, and I've been studying and researching this subject for quite a while now. Most studies right now on GMOs indicate that they may significantly alter our blood, chemical, and our immune system. GMOs affect the functions of our liver, pancreas, and kidneys to such an extent that toxicity studies are more needed right now. So is our food really safe? No, it's not as safe as we think it is, and it's not as safe as we're being told. Currently we have labeling laws, but GMOs are not on them. Because GMOs are so harmful, we need to get them out of our food supply now. Or at the least, we need to quit eating them, like I do. Because GMOs are not a natural food. The World Health Organization defines genetically modified organisms as organisms in which the genetic material, or the very DNA, has been altered in such a way that it doesn't occur naturally in nature. They are combinations of plant, animal, bacteria, and viral genes, like I said, that don't occur naturally or through traditional crossbreeding methods. This reprograms the cells of the genetically modified organisms to make a new protein, a protein our bodies have never encountered before, or to modify the structure of existing proteins. Genetic modified confers new properties or new traits that are not naturally present in the organism now. These modifications are not as simple as they sound, but they are basically designed to make the plant resistant to the herbicide Roundup, making it resistant to glyphosate. Glyphosate is a toxin. Roundup is a product or a pesticide that's been developed by Monsanto. Monsanto also makes a product, it's called Roundup Ready seeds. These seeds contain glyphosate. Why? To resist the tremendous amounts of Roundup that are sprayed on the plants while they're growing. And unfortunately, about 85% of the food sold in grocery stores contain these GMOs. Current Roundup Ready crops include soy, corn, canola, alfalfa, cotton, sorghum, sugar beets, and wheat is under development. That would be all your bread. GMO foods are toxic. So much that the genetically modified corn that was engineered in the laboratory produces pesticides in its own tissues. As a matter of fact, that GMO corn is so toxic it has to be regulated by the Environmental Protection Agency and as an insecticide. But guess what? There's no labeling. Now, though Monsanto wants us to believe that they are safe, many studies are now showing the connection between GMO-laden foods and chronic diseases. Let me give you an example. Multiple toxins from GMOs are detected in maternal and fetal blood. DNA from genetically modified crops can be transferred to humans who eat them. New study links GMOs to gluten disorders, with about 18 million Americans suffering from intolerance of gluten. Studies also link genetically modified corn to rat tumors. Glyphosate has been linked to birth defects, and studies link glyphosate to autism, Parkinson's disease, and Alzheimer's. And chronically ill humans have higher glyphosate levels than healthy humans. Now, the plants may be protected, but what about us? Why have we not been told? Could there be a cover-up here? Well, let's look at the revolving door between the executives of Monsanto and the FDA. For instance, the FDA and Monsanto, a leader in GMO seed production, have shared interest. For example, Michael R. Taylor, who used to be a Monsanto attorney and vice president, is now the FDA's Deputy Commissioner of Foods and in charge of federal policy. Monsanto's Philip Angel stated, "Monsanto should not have to vouchsafe the safety of biotech foods. Our interest is in selling as much of it as we can. Assuming the safety is the FDA's job." But the FDA says, ultimately, it is the food producer who is responsible for assuring safety. So the people we trust to assure the safety of the food that we consume are passing the buck. And there's no peer review. David Schubert, professor and head of the Cellular Neurobiology Laboratory at the Salk Institute, had a comprehensive peer review study of the U.S. government, their regulation of GMOs. And he said, one thing that surprised us is that the U.S. regulators rely almost exclusively on information provided by the biotech crop developer, and those data are not published in journals or subjected to peer review. The picture that emerges from our study of U.S. regulation of GMO foods is a rubber stamp approval process designed to increase public confidence, but not to ensure the safety of genetically modified foods. With the government and Monsanto passing the buck, how can we be sure our food is safe? Maybe we do need labeling laws right now to add GMO foods. But Monsanto's putting up a wall. They're fighting to stop the addition of GMO food product labels, and the government is supporting them with legislation. Monsanto and other industrial agricultural companies argue that labeling would cost us, the consumers, a family of 4, approximately $500 extra a year if they had to add labeling. That's just not true. But wait, we have labeling on the type and the total of fats that are in our diet, the amount of carbs, proteins, sugars. Because of the rapid growth of GMOs and the fact that there is no regulation requiring the food industry to label foods containing GMOs, we are left in the dark. Since 2012, Monsanto has spent more than $22 million to fight state initiatives to label GMOs and millions to lobby Congress against the mandatory labeling of GMOs. And the U.S. has no laws requiring labeling of genetically modified foods. Representatives Mike Pompeo, a Republican from Kansas, and G.K. Butterfield, who's a Democrat from North Carolina, they've recently introduced federal legislation developed by the food company lobbies. And this legislation has been dubbed Deny Americans the Right to Know, or the DARK Act. This anti-GMO labeling bill has just passed the House of Representatives and will be introduced into the Senate soon. If passed, it will continue to keep you and me in the dark. GMOs are being labeled and banned in other countries. Currently, 64 countries around the world have GMO labeling laws. And as a matter of fact, as of October 29, 2013, there are at least 26 countries around the world that totally ban GMOs. We need to support and vote for propositions and laws supporting GMO labeling. And why not? Our polls show that 90% of Americans support GMO labeling. All you have to do is just Google GMOs, and you will be flooded with different sites to go to. Be sure to get both sides of the argument. And when you do, I believe you'll be convinced that action is needed now. Obviously, there's not enough time to detail everything that's going on in the biotech industry now and how it's affecting you, your family, and the environment. And I'm not here to tell you what to eat, how to eat, but I am here to persuade you to be more aware of what you eat. Look, given the information, people are going to make up their own minds, whether they want to consume foods that are good for them or not, to consume foods that are dangerous for them or not. I mean, my goodness, cigarettes have warnings. We are warned of alcohol abuses every day in the media. We are bombarded with information on too many saturated fats and trans fats. And everyone knows that processed foods are not good for you. As a matter of fact, we have a whole medical industry that will welcome you with open arms once you get sick. This is not about more government. This is about what is happening right now with our government and the very corporations that control the food that we're putting into our bodies. The food that is supposed to give us life and support life. Today, genetically modified foods are at the least unproven for safety and should be labeled. Remember, GMO foods are not natural and they are not found naturally in nature. And there is an effort to keep you and me in the dark. And since we already have labeling laws, we need to just add GMOs to them. We need to know what's in our food by mandatory labeling of GMO foods. Henry Kissinger said back in 1970, control the oil and you control the nations. Control the food and you control the people. He went on to say that research recently places multinational corporations behind the push toward controlling global food supplies. For the first time in history, folks, Monsanto, a corporation, was given a patent on life. Their seeds, which have life in them, have a patent on them. We have a right to know what's in our food. I urge you to act now, demanding voluntary, uniform, science-based standards for GMO labeling of our foods. But not for you. Do it for your family. Thank you for taking a few moments to hear me out and to listen what I believe is a very timely and important message.